that. Also, we will be recording this series, so we will share this with you after it's over, like we have done in the previous ones. And voila, I think for logistics, that's it. Thanks everyone for joining. As you know, this is part of a larger series that we're doing of support for hubs. We have done workshops already on how to build your investment program, how to build partnerships, and this is another one that I think it's quite it was requested a lot, because if there's something that we have learned this year is the power of digital and how we need to be adapting to this new reality. So how can we make best use of the tools that we have at our disposal to deliver our workshops, our programs remotely? So in order to talk to us a little bit more about that, we have here Laura Gonzalez, who is a design specialist with experience working in the tech industry and startups. So she has an expertise in service design and facilitation of innovation workshops, which I think makes her an incredible expert to share with us how we can bridge this online gap and deliver some winning workshops. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Laura to take it over and start this workshop. Laura, over to you.
Hi everyone. Super excited to be here with you. Thank you, Mayara, for the presentation. So, one second, I start. Yes, I would like to start by introducing ourselves at Sparkworks. As Mayara said, I'm Laura. I'm a service designer and I work for Sparkworks. We are an international strategic innovation company, and we work with our clients from different industries, basically translating challenges into opportunities and driving innovation from within. We are based in Switzerland, and yeah, here a picture of our amazing team. And today I want to talk with you about facilitating remote workshops. So yeah, we all know this year was very challenging, or has been very challenging, and COVID changed the way we work, the way that we communicate, and the way we all interact with each other. And it also made us kind of rethink the ways that we are facilitating our workshops, and it also made us find new ways of delivering value to our clients using different formats. And this is how we started looking at how can we facilitate our workshops in a remote way. So today I will be sharing with you learnings, the tools, insights, and the best practices from our remote experience. I think this is also very important to mention here, that this is our experience, and those learnings are just based on workshops that we already have. And it has been, of course, a journey full of learnings, and we keep learning with the future workshops that we do. Today, we will be talking about the facilitator role, the workshop essentials, team dynamics, use cases, so some examples of the workshops that we experience here at Sparkworks, and we will have also space for questions. So if during this presentation you have a question, please feel free to just put it in the chat, and at the end we will have some time for that. So, before we start, I would like to start with a warm-up, first to know each other a bit better, but also to experience the Miro board, because at some point in the middle of the talk, we will do a small exercise there so that you can also get to interact with one of these virtual whiteboards for collaboration that we use a lot for our workshops. So it would be nice if we can all get a bit familiar with it. So we will share the link in the chat, and please just join us to the Miro board, and we will do a small warm up there. So once you join us, this is the Miro board, what you should be seeing. And here you see a lot of different post-its. I will bring you to me. Perfect. And the idea here is that you can double click on the post-it and write your name. Like here you can find my name, Laura. And you can take your post-it and place it where you are located right now. So in my case, I'm located in Switzerland. So I'll just make my post-it smaller and put in Switzerland. Wait. I will bring the map back. Great. So we see some people in Europe, Africa, to write the name of the post-it, you just need to double click. Cool. I think that's more or less it. So let's do a round of presentations. Let's start with Africa. So we have Alexis and Richard. Maybe you can unmute yourselves, just say hi and where are you located?
Hi guys, my name is Alexi. I'm French, but I'm based in South Africa, Cape Town, and I run an Ocean Impact Accelerator here.
Cool. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay, hi. My name is Richard Zulu. I'm based in Uganda, currently working out of the capital, Kampala, and I run an entrepreneurship support organization known as Outbox.
Cool. Nice to meet you, Richard. Thank you. Okay, let's go up. Luisa.
Hi, my name is Luisa. I'm based in Germany, in Berlin, and I'm the program manager for the Young Founders program at the Westerwelle Foundation. Happy to join today.
Cool. Nice to have you here. Claire.
Yes, hi, my name is Claire and I work with Mayara in the Youth and Trade team and I'm located in Geneva.
Great. We have you here. Jenny.
Hi, everyone. I also work with Mayara, Claire, Julia, and Noria for the Youth and Trade program here at the International Trade Center in Geneva.
Great. Maria.
Hello, everyone. Also working in ITC based in Geneva and working for She Trades Gambia and YEP Gambia.
Cool. Thank you. Jonah.
Hey, I'm Tona. I'm working with Maria and the ITC Gambia team.
Okay, we have the ITC team here in Europe. Elodie.
Hi, everyone. I work at Singa and we support people with a refugee and migrant background to start their own business here in Geneva. Nice to meet you all.
Cool, nice to meet you as well. Florian? I think you're muted.
Hi everyone, my name is Florian. I'm with Standards 2. Happy to refresh my facilitating skills.
Cool. Here we have someone in India.
Yeah, hi, my name is Kalyani. I work out of India, Delhi.
Cool, nice to have you here. Perfect. And who is this person here, Bob? Writing the name. Where are you located?
It seems we also have a new post-it in Africa, in Zambia, George.
George, would you like to present yourself or just say hi? Okay.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Sorry, I'm failing to post my name. I'm Bright from Lusaka, working for National Technology Business Center as a business development specialist. Thank you.
Cool, thank you. It's someone else that maybe had a challenge.
Yeah, like me, like Bright, I'm also failing to add the stick note. But my name is Tasila, working with Bright as well for National Technology Business Center in Lusaka, Zambia.
Perfect. Hi, Basila, nice to meet you. Someone else that maybe had problems with the Miro board, but would like to still introduce themselves?
Hi, my name is Yolanda. I work with the Assembly Hub from Nigeria. So I'm not certain if you can see my post-it. I hope it worked.
Cool, thank you. Okay, so.
Hello,
oh,
my
hello.
name is Trinity. I'm from Zambia and I work with George at Bongo Hive.
Great, thanks for being here with us today. Great, so let's come back to our presentation. So something to mention here, and we now first experience firsthand, that is not always very easy to start working, for example, with Miro tools. Not everyone is familiar with tools. So once you're planning your workshop, and I will come back to it later, but of course, make sure that you feel familiar with the workshop and that you also take opportunities like this, for example, the warm-ups or the introduction of the participants to go to the platform and try to start interacting with it so everyone gets familiar and knows how to use it later for the next exercises. But for now, let's continue. We will have time to experience Miro again later. So I would like to start by talking about the facilitator role. So what does it mean to be a facilitator? And of course, as the word suggested, it's about making a process or an action easier. So as a facilitator, you are the person basically planning, guiding, and also leading the team through the session or through this journey towards an outcome. So it's basically your role to also encourage the participants to go out of their comfort zones, to try different things and to actually work towards that outcome. And as a facilitator, you also will have different responsibilities. It's your task to inspire and motivate the team, to be the role model that is also guiding them through this journey towards an action. It's your role to notice what's happening around in the room. And this is a bit challenging when doing our workshop remotely, but it's your job to be there around, to maybe join the different breakout rooms and to notice what's happening around the workshop. Of course, take course corrections. So if the team or if the process is going on another direction or not towards the outcome that you wanted, then take decisions and maybe change things there on place, set the challenge, so set goals and set the stage, of course, a learning environment and also an environment that is open for teamwork. And here we really wanted to focus the facilitator role around 4 main topics: the methods, the outcome, the tools, and the remote teams. And these will be basically our workshop essentials. And these will be also the structure that we will follow during the presentation. So let's start with the essentials. And let's start with methods. So methods are, of course, a very important part of any journey or any facilitator workshop. And of course, with COVID, we needed to adapt those methods. And what we did in that case was looking at what we wanted to achieve at the end. So what's the main goal? What do we want to achieve with this, with the session or with the workshop? And think about how can we get there, or how can we get to the same results with the digital tools that we have available. So today we will have a look at different tools available that then you can use to think, okay, once I have my goal, what can I use from these tools to make the sessions or the workshop possible? So basically it's about moving from the physical world to the virtual world. And for this, the first step is basically analyze the activity, the workshop, the sessions, what are the goals, what are the expectations, for example, from stakeholders. Then reflect on what do we want to do, what do we want to achieve, and what's the main goal, and then reshape the physical methods or tools that we have into virtual ones. Here it's very important to take into account that remote workshops are very flexible. So you can spread activities into blocks. You can also book different times, but it's very important that we keep the sessions short to avoid this online fatigue that I think we're all experiencing during COVID, joining different workshops and different talks online. Also, the possibility to combine digital and physical activities. So you have the opportunity to give people homework or to provide an exercise that they can also just do by drawing or something at home. So kind of still combining the digital world with the physical world, and of course, making the use of the online tools available to prepare the sessions, but also to digitalize the materials. At Sparkworks, we normally work with the methodology of design thinking. So we try to follow this structure, the design thinking process. But of course, not all the workshops or all the sessions that you are planning need to follow the same process or the design thinking process. So what we really want you is to think about the sessions as a journey. So your job as facilitator is to guide participants through this journey, through a series of activities towards an outcome. So normally there is a pre-session, so there will be some activities. You will be planning an agenda. I will explain that later in a minute. Normally we always start with a warm-up to get to know each other. And then there is this phase of teamwork where we work in different activities, and then we try to converge towards the outcome of the session. And of course, later, maybe we have next steps or next sessions. So I think this is a very nice way to see a remote session as a journey. And basically your role as the facilitator to guide people through this journey. Yep. The agenda planning is a super important part of the preparation for the workshop. And here at Sparkworks, we normally have two different agendas. We prepare an agenda for participants and one for ourselves as facilitators. So the one for the participants is basically a simple overview of the activities and how the time will be divided in different blocks of time or of topics. And then we normally have one for us that is more detailed, where we also include things like the objectives, the materials, who is responsible, and a very detailed plan of the time. So here I have two examples. The agenda for participants, also very similar to the one I shared with you at the beginning of the session, which will basically have 2 blocks of time and the main activities or the main topics that will be discussed. And here you can also see an agenda for the facilitators. And this is an example of an agenda we use where, of course, the times are very precise. We also set the activities, more details about the activities, the goals, the materials, and who is responsible for each activity. So this, of course, allows us to plan better, to make sure that we have everything ready for each activity, and that if in case there is another person that is co-hosting, we can divide tasks and we know what are we doing when. The templates and the materials is also a very important part of the methods. And during the physical workshops, we always had a lot of material, a lot of different papers or templates that we were using for the activities. And during COVID, well, we of course needed to adapt this as well. So there is here 2 options or 2 different directions that we normally take. One is to use the physical templates that we had available and just scan them or take a picture and include them in the Miro board or in the virtual whiteboards, and then just work on top of it. Or the other option is actually make sure of the templates that Miro or these types of programs are offering for free. So I will show you later, but in case of Miro, they have a list of a lot of templates that you can just use and structure your workshop around it. So here, it's very important to take into account to introduce each activity and each task and ask for questions. So every time you introduce an activity, make sure that everyone understands the activity and what you will be doing and that there is not questions left behind. Also to connect an activity to each other. So remember, this is a journey and we always need to kind of connect the next steps to the ones that we had before. We are always kind of going towards that outcome, and it has to make sense for everyone. Where are we going at the end of this session? And also stay flexible. So be prepared for unexpected moments, to maybe improvise as a facilitator, but yeah, to be ready just for changes or for things that maybe you didn't prepare in advance. So this was all the methods part. Now let's move to the next one about remote team building. So of course, the teams are a very important part of each session, and we will guide this team towards this outcome, and they will be the ones kind of working together to achieve those goals that we have for the workshop. And for teams in remote sessions, we have seen two different types. One is, of course, the mixed teams, where there is some people physically working together and having some other people joining remotely, and 100% remote teams. So everyone is just remotely joining the session. For the mixed teams, there is, let's say, two different configurations. So there is like the picture that I just showed you, some people working together in a room and some others joining remotely. Here, we normally, or based on our experience, we see that the remote participants tend to be excluded, which is not really good for the workshop. And the other thing that we saw is different teams that normally are in a physical space together. So different teams joining remotely. And here, the problem that we experience is that they normally have a very strong culture. They are used to work together. So the collaboration, it's a bit kind of not that strong because the teams are very attached to each other. On the other hand, we have the 100% remote teams, and this is for sure the most ideal way of working and the one that really worked for us. And we really encourage people to use this kind of structure when facilitating workshops. So encouraging everyone to join individually and remotely. So even, for example, here in the first picture or diagram, you can see even if people are located in the same office or in the same room, you can really ask them to just go to another room or divide themselves and then join from their own laptop, so that everyone is it's kind of included in the conversation, and that the team, it's a bit more inclusive and equal. Another very important topic to take into account with teams is the time. So here we are now experiencing it ourselves. We are all located in different parts of the world. And of course, the time zone plays a super important role in when is the workshop happening, when is the session happening, and when is the best time for the session to take place. So just make sure that you know upfront where are your participants located. Here is one example of an app that you can use to have an overview of the different times around the world, depending on the locations of your participants, that will help you to find the best time possible for your workshop or your session. So here, important recommendations are collect in advance all the information regarding the participants. So where are they located, so that you can plan at what time are we doing the workshop. Also take into account the context and things like the language. Is the language a barrier or not? Take into account all these small cultural aspects so that your workshop can also work. Create the groups and divisions in advance. So if you know who is joining your workshop, how many people, you can already set teams in advance so that you don't need to do this while you're facilitating the workshop online. As I said, if possible, ask everyone to be 100% remotely, so to join individually from their own laptops. This will really make the collaboration process way easier. And in case of having these mixed teams, so where there is a group working together physically and some people joining online, make sure you are really involving everyone and giving spaces for them to also talk or bring their opinions in. So for this session, it's very important to take into account the number of participants for planning the number of teams, the breakout rooms, so to manage all these logistics things in advance. the location of participants, especially for planning the times and how long your workshop and activities will be, and the tech skills of participants. I will explain this a bit later, but this is very important. Not everyone have the same tech skills. So it's really important that everyone feels comfortable with the different tools that we are using and knows how to use them in the best way. So this part was the remote teams. So let's move to the next one, that is tools. Sorry. Yes. So of course, we rely on tools to make possible collaboration for remote sessions. And here we have an overview of different tools that we have available in different areas for team alignment, for real-time communication, like what we are right now doing, for visual collaboration, for sharing files, and also for the communication outside the session. So let's have a look at some of these tools. For the team alignment, we normally use one of these tools. So we have the Google Calendar, we have Trello, we have Asana, and we have Doodle. So these tools are basically helping us organizing the team, tracking progress, planning times, planning assignments, and planning the time of the event. So yeah, normally we use Google Calendar to set the events. Doodle is also very useful so that everyone can kind of click when they are available and you can find the best time for your workshop. And Trello and Asana are tools that are a bit more useful for organizing the workshop, maybe setting assignments and tracking the progress that you are doing towards, for example, the outcome that you want to have at the end. For these tools, it's very important that you use exact days of the week, time zones, so that you mention everything when you are sharing dates with participants, especially if your participants are located everywhere, so we don't know what's the time zone. So it's very important that if you say 3 p.m., it's 3 p.m. somewhere, and to kind of have that very clear in the communication process. Also plan the sessions in advance, setting the time expectations, adding the responsible so that people know until when they have to deliver certain tasks, if there is tasks outside the session, but when do they need to join the meeting, and more or less how will be the timing for the session. And also send reminders before the date so that everyone reminds to join when the session is taking place. So for these tools, well, we are experiencing it right now, the real communication. Right now we are using Zoom, but there is of course other tools available like Skype, Berkeley, or just Google Teams. These are basically face-to-face communications, and they make it possible for us to communicate in real time and collaborate. So very important. And here we also have some recommendations. I think the most important thing is the connection, the Wi-Fi, the quality. Make sure that if you are the facilitator, you have a very good connection, that everything is working regarding the sound, the video, and of course, maybe think about a plan B, what to do in case something doesn't go as planned. Also keep the energy up, include breaks during these sessions. I mean, it's not that easy to be the whole day connected and being in front of a computer. So just bring different energized activities and include some breaks so that people can just grab a coffee, go to the toilet, and these things. And then ask everyone to turn on the camera, also that you can see the expressions. Of course, collaboration is way better when we see each other, so we can create some empathy and we can get to know with whom we are working. We also have some tools for visual collaboration, and one of them is Miro, as you already kind of experienced. These are basically digital canvas that allows us to work together and collaborate. So we can bring all the different activities, and it's basically a digital whiteboard that we can use to make everything possible. We can do brainstormings, put pictures, discuss the different activities, create prototypes. So Miro and Mural are a bit similar. They are both these virtual whiteboards that allow us to interact and do basically everything. We can make structures, you can put pictures, and then InVision, on the other hand, is a bit more focused on prototyping. You can draw on this digital board, and you can also create prototypes for interactions or, for example, UX wireframes. Some recommendations here to make sure that you structure and organize this whiteboard in advance. So you will see later in the activity that we will do, it's very important that we organize the whiteboard and we already know what are the activities that we are doing, what's the process, and that people can also find exactly what they need once they need it. Also use the warm-ups exercises. So for example, this is exactly what we did at the beginning. This is a very good opportunity to make people use the digital board before they are actually started working on the project. So you can create this warm-up exercise like the one we did with the map, so that everyone gets used to putting a post there, write the name on the post-it, or these kind of small things, just to make people used to kind of like interacting with this tool and the digital board. And finally, add examples and images when you need explanations. So if you are asking them to do something that is very specific, it's very good if you on the board you just add an example or a picture that will guide the participants, and they know what they need to do and more or less the outcome that you want from it. We also have the communication outside the workshops. So here we have examples of Slack, WhatsApp, of Gmail. So basically these are the tools that allow us to stay connected in between the sessions and plan with other participants. So WhatsApp, Gmail is very useful to just communicate what's happening, what's the next stage. And Slack is also very useful for teams. So when we have a very long project where there is teams and they will keep working together, they could create a group in Slack and also send materials, for example, during the user research is very useful to just share things with the teams, interesting blog posts, interesting websites that you can just share them there and keep track on them. And here for these ones, it's very important to add links, images, supporting material when it's necessary. Also be clear and not overload participants with a lot of information, especially in things like WhatsApp or the email, like just not overload participants with information, and make sure that you have their permission. So we already have some experience with people that didn't want to share their number, or they are not okay with having a group on WhatsApp. So making sure that everyone feels comfortable and that they are okay with this. And finally, we have the file sharing tools. So these are basically the tools that allows us to share and store relevant data. We can also store the process there, pictures of the different tasks that we were doing. And for these, we use Google Drive. We also use Dropbox, and we transfer to just send documents to participants or between ourselves. Here it's very important to also structure these tools, kind of different files that you have, keep them organized so that everyone can find what they need. Make sure that you check the storage. So it also already happens to us that, for example, Dropbox, it's full. So then you will need to change everything, like you will need to change the tool. So move, for example, from Dropbox to Drive, and that's not that nice. So make sure that you have enough storage and that you check the limits, the capacity of the different tools, and that you create copies of the important files, because remember that everyone will have access to these. So if by mistake someone deletes a document, that's also super painful. So make sure you as a facilitator have always a copy of the important documents in your own computer or in your own drive. So for this topic of teams, it's very important to take into account to feel comfortable yourself with the tools that you're using, but also make sure that others feel comfortable with the different tools and that they have the skills needed to use them. If needed, you can also plan a training session before the workshop, a day before or something, where you can invite people and you can explain them how the tools work, things like Miro, also Zoom or Berkeley, or one of these even like communication tools. You can all just join for a meeting and just experience it one day before. And also get the people used to move between tools. So normally for online sessions, we will have the video call, but then we will also have breakout rooms or the digital whiteboard, and people will need to move all the time around for the explanations, but also for the activities. So just things to take into account. That was the part of the tools. And finally, we have the outcome. And the outcome, well, as I said, this is the journey, and the journey goes towards an outcome. So when we are facilitating a session, when we have a session, we always have a goal at the end. And here I just put some examples of outcomes of workshops that we have, or we had here at Sparkworks, for example, knowledge transfer trainings, like the thing that we're doing right now, just sharing some insights, development of ideas, of products, of services, validating directions with stakeholders. Also, this sometimes is very useful for alignment between stakeholders, defining where to focus, or defining where we are in the roadmap, what's next, or building and testing prototypes. Those are just examples of outcomes that you want to take out of the sessions. But of course, there is many more that are not here. So let's experience ourselves a bit of this world of the Miro and the virtual collaboration. So I will ask you again to go to the Miro board, and we will empathize with each other. So this is how it will work. We will divide you in groups. It's random. And let me go to the Miro board so I can also explain you in an easier way. We will be working for 7 minutes together in this part of reflections. So in the Miro board, you will find your team or your name in one of the teams. For example, this is team 1 with Yolanda, Bob, Bright, Claire, and Florian. And each team has their own working space. So there we have 5 teams. You can go to the Miro board and find your name in one of the post-its so that you can find your team. The first activity that I will ask you to do is to brainstorm. So for 2 minutes in your group, you will be just discussing what are the main problems when working remotely with people or teams, just based on your own experiences, your assumptions, what you think. So basically a brainstorming of problems that you identified or that you already experienced when working remotely. For this, you can use Post-its, and to write on the Post-it, you just need to double click and then you can start writing. Here we put some other Post-its so that you don't need to create them. You can just drag them in and start collaborating. For this, you will have 2 minutes. And then after these 2 minutes, the next exercise is to build a prototype. So how will you prototype the following idea using this remote Miro board? The idea is a new lunch box that keeps the food warm. And how it works is that it includes a portable heat source that ensures the food is kept warm. And the target users for this idea are school children from 6 to 12 years old. So in this exercise, for 5 minutes, I want you to find a way to visualize this idea and to kind of build a prototype that later you can explain it to someone else. So it's not about the idea itself. I really want you to experience how is it to work with others using this Miro board, and what kind of tools you can find here that allows you to build this idea. Here in Miro, you find a lot of different tools and resources. You can also create shapes, you can create lines, you can draw yourself freely. So explore the Miro board together with your team and find a way to communicate this idea in an easy way. Again, this is not about the outcome in this case, but it's about experiences that you get to know how is it to work with others and how is it to collaborate here in a remote and virtual whiteboard. So we will send you to your breakout rooms, and you will have 7 minutes for this. After the 2 minutes of the first exercise are over, I will send you a reminder so you can move to the second exercise. Have fun. Bright, Maria, Esther, you need to accept to join the breakout room. So you should have a message somewhere in the Zoom that asks you if you want to join the breakout room so that you can start working in your teams. Perfect, yes. Good. As the team one is working. Mayara, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Is Brad part of your team?
No, I don't know if he's there.
I think it's not here. Okay.
We have someone in the waiting room. I think this person was not here before, but maybe, I don't know if you want to admit him and quickly explain and put him in a room.
Yes, that sounds good.
Okay.
Hi, Patrick.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, how are you? So right now we are doing a small exercise using Miro, and we divided everyone into teams. So I will just quickly explain you what the exercise is, and I will put you in a team so that you can just jump in and work with them. Is it okay?
That will be good.
Perfect. So
Yes,
I will
it's
share.
okay. Sorry, I joined a bit late.
No problem. So I will share my screen. Do you see it now?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. So this is basically the exercise. We are asking people to brainstorm in their teams. What are the main problems when working remotely with people? Maybe that you have experience already while doing workshops, or that you just think based on assumptions. So this is 2 minutes of brainstorming. And the second exercise that I think you will mainly join for this one is how will you prototype this idea? The idea is a new lunch box that keeps the food warm, and it works with a portable heat source that ensures that the food stays warm for school children from 6 to 12 years old. And here it's actually not about the idea, or the main outcome is not the idea, but we just want you to interact with others and find or experience how is it to work with others using Miro, and use the Miro tools available, like for example, these shapes, or Miro also allows you to just draw or add icons to visualize this idea, basically. So this is more about experience with Miro and experience the working with others in this environment.
Okay.
Perfect. So
Sure.
we will send you to team 5, which is this one, the orange one, and have fun.
Okay.
Perfect. I think you need to accept to go to the team, to the breakout room. Perfect.
Cool. Okay, so everyone is working, it seems, all the groups.
Yes, exactly. Now you send a reminder to move to the next one. Yeah. Yeah, I will now jump. Okay. I will jump to the different groups to see how they're doing and to make sure they move to the next exercise.
Laura, just one thing before you go. I think maybe it's your hair that is on the microphone, because we can hear a little bit of noise from you. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if maybe. Yeah, it's better now.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just,
Perfect. So sorry for that.
No, no problem.
Okay, so I will now jump to the different groups. Okay, so team 1 is already working on it. So can you send me to team 2?
How did it go in the groups? Umut.
Hello. Okay, it's good. So 2 groups have some difficulties joining the Miro board, and the rest are working. And again, I mean, now I want to do a reflection more around this experience, because it's not about the outcome. It's not about how they draw the idea. It's more how they manage to deal with these like unexpected exercise where they need to work together, they need to draw something, they need to communicate. So in the cases that someone, for example, wasn't able to join the Miro team, I suggested that that person can just guide somewhere else, and someone else can take the control of like drawing or making the shapes. So let's see. But actually they have pretty cool things.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be working for most people. The only team that is not yet on the second activity seems to be 5. They don't see anything. Oh, okay, no, they just started drawing something. Okay.
Yeah, exactly, let's see. But it's very interesting. So some people focus on the process. Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what happened to me actually was when I clicked on the link, it was really zoomed in on a part of the board that didn't have anything. So it looked like it was loading, and it wasn't. I just had to zoom out. So I don't know, maybe that could be the problem for some of them.
Okay, yeah, maybe. But yes. Okay, they will be here in 30 seconds.
Okay.
Do you see my Miro board right now? Okay.
Yeah.
Oops. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Perfect. I hope you have some fun. I know it was stressful. It was only 7 minutes, of course, but I hope you at least got to experience a bit Miro and find some of the tools and explore with them, creating the prototype. So I would like one person per team to just share with us the experience, maybe what was challenging, what you like about Miro, what you maybe find useful, or what didn't work. So let's start with team 1. Someone like to share?
That should have been part of the guidelines. Name someone that will actually present for each team.
Yeah,
I can share. So some of the problems that we identified are, of course, internet being the main one, that you're missing the nonverbal communication that you get from seeing other people in person. So body language, facial expressions, and the like. And in addition to that, personal contact. Then there's also the added level of complexity brought on by, using technology. So sharing information takes time to understand these virtual Post-its, whereas writing a Post-it in real life doesn't really take that any skill. And then you don't get to write things down. So you don't remember it as well. And then it can be difficult to sometimes find a place to participate in virtual meetings. So sometimes there's a lot of background noise, etc.
Cool. And what about the experience itself now? So how was it? Was something difficult or challenging with this exercise in particular?
I think just learning Miro took a minute. Like I didn't know where to find these emojis for food and how to use everything. I don't know how everyone else in the group found it, but it took us a minute to figure out where everything was.
Exactly. Yeah, I can imagine. Great. Thanks for sharing. Okay, someone from team 2, George.
Okay, we've been put on the spot. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I was in team 1 with Jonah and Tassila. I think our experience was, is it more about the experience or maybe more about what we
No,
came up?
about experience. So what was challenging here in this exercise?
All right. One thing we noted was there had to be someone to share the screen and also just bouncing off ideas together, and not that. So I pretty much we figured that out way to share. So it's like there would someone to facilitate the conversation and someone to actually add the points and then to expand on it. So I think that provided a lot of collaboration. And we did find that there are a lot of things that were very, very similar to what we are experiencing currently in our individual spaces, and say, okay, fine, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. It really happens to me. And then we gave out so many good examples as well. Then getting back to Miro, very, very good tool. And I have to say that it was really interesting to see what everyone else was doing. I think we did get some ideas from team 1 who have built really fancy, just like, how is it they're coming up with these things? And then it really opened up our minds into thinking broadly around the tasks and thinking about, okay, you know what, let's try to make it innovative and making it fancy. So I think we did get some tips from everyone else, like once we did a tour to find out exactly what everyone else is doing. So I think the experience itself was really good. I think the challenges there would be that, yeah, definitely, I think maybe it's around with just making sure that we are all aligned on one page. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing. Let's move to team 3. What about Luisa?
Hey, okay. So for our team, we identified multiple problems. Some of them have been shared already. One thing that's probably new is that some people use different devices. So we do have people that use smartphones when they join meetings, so they have a very small screen. I think someone has a lot of background noise, so that's also a problem.
Yeah, exactly. These are exactly the challenges during.
And also how to keep people engaged. How do you make sure people connect to each other if it's online? I think these were some of the main problems we identified. When it comes to the tool, I do feel like the team didn't have too many problems. I think it's quite intuitive. I personally also used Mural before, which is quite similar.
Yeah.
So I feel it's a very good tool to use, and I also feel like it's good to use it as an icebreaker at the beginning of session. I don't know if I missed something. If yes, the other one can jump in.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Thank you so much. Team 4. Let me see the names. What about Maria?
Hello. So one of the main challenges we had was for everyone to find where we were. I think it's a bit hard sometimes, like you have to zoom out and then you have to figure out where your team is working on typing up stuff. It also took us some time to find shapes form, but yeah, Nuria took the lead on this. And I would say that it's also a challenge if you're on Miro and on parallel, you're on a call. So you have to like unmute and mute yourself, go back and forth. Sometimes it takes time to figure out where the Zoom call is. So I think that's also one of the challenges.
Cool. Thanks so much for sharing. And finally, team 5. Let's see. Dennis? Or, well, what about Samuel?
So I think that's this is Julia talking. One of the issues we experienced, for instance, Trinity, she was working in a noisy place, so that's why she gave input in a chat box. But yeah, other people maybe they have difficulties connecting in general. And then also, as you can see on the board, like for us, it took quite some time to figure out how this works. And then somehow not all of us could place their comments directly on the paper, so they kind of disappeared. So I think technique was one of the main issues, and also what was highlighted during the conversation, like digital literacy. Just figuring this out in a very short time when you have different devices, different kind of internet speeds. It's a bit challenging.
Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing. So let's go back to our presentation. So exactly, this exercise was of course not about the outcome. It was not about the final prototype that you created. Oh, seems like I'm sharing the whole screen. Yes, perfect. But it was about the whole experience. So of course, this was not ideal. We only have 7 minutes to jump on Miro to start building something, to start creating and interacting with our other team members. But it gives us a bit the idea, or that you can understand that it's super important to get used to the tool before. Because exactly those problems we already have experience with workshops where we didn't have a training part before. So of course, at some point we all joined in Miro, and the first part of the workshop, instead of actually working on the outcome, was everything about how does Miro work? How do I put a post-it? Solving these small problems that are always coming up in remote sessions. So here, things that you mentioned, of course, is challenging to be in parallel with a call. So these are also something we need to make sure people are used to do. So a training before also helps on that people are used to move to Miro and come back to the call. Maybe even sometimes there is additional tools like Slack, where there is documents there, or Google Drive. So something very important to take into account. Also, get to know like what everyone else is doing. Where do we work? What's our workspace? This is also something that you can also mention at the beginning of the session, making sure that everyone finds their group, everyone finds the workspace, everyone knows what they are working. We normally put this post-it with their names. So this, here was also challenging, but it's very useful so that people know their name is there and that's exactly their workspace. Of course, time, and then finding the right tools. And this basically only comes once we actually know how to work with Miro, how to work with where are the things, where do I find the icons, how can I upload an image? So it takes time. So basically the main learning is once you are actually using one of these tools, make sure that all your participants and yourself feel comfortable with the tools that you are using, and that you maybe plan a session before to guide participants through it, and more about like the logistics aspects of the tool. But I still hope you have some fun, and it was interesting to talk with other colleagues. So let's continue. The next session is about remote factors, and basically here is summarizing what we just experienced. The tech skills are not the same for everyone. Also, people sometimes are joining from different devices, so make sure that you plan this in advance. If it's better for everyone to join with a computer, make sure that people know this before so that they can also plan in advance. And again, and sorry for reminding you again, but it's very important, this training session. So making sure everyone feels comfortable at the time of this real session. The next one is the audio and video settings. This is very important, a critical aspect for remote sessions. So make sure that your audio and video are good, that you don't have noise in the background, that when you are not speaking, you are mute. So all these small details that will make the session much better. We also just experienced it here when working together. Logistics and support team. As a facilitator, it's very useful to have someone else that is supporting you, especially with small tasks like creating breakout rooms, managing the agenda, remind you when you are not on time. Here I have Giske with me, that is part of the team, and she was the one creating the breakout rooms. She's also the one telling me, hey, you are out of time. So it's very useful to have this kind of team support. The time management also very critical for remote sessions. So of course, if you are in a room, in a physical room, and you count 2 minutes, it's really easy to get like this track of time. But in remote sessions, this never happens. Sometimes people start talking and they're actually on mute, so they need to mute themselves. Then you need to switch. People need to like make sure that you said the name correctly. So all these kind of small things add time to the presentation. So make sure that you calculate for remote workshops this buffer in between each activity, each time that you are presenting, each time that you are going to the Miro board. Make sure to always add those buffers into the time slots. The next topic is the team dynamics. So here we also experience this at the beginnings. It's very important, especially for long sessions, to keep the team energized. We normally use warm-ups and energize. So warm-ups are perfect for introducing each other, for kind of like, getting to know each other, and energize for having fun. And after a break, after lunchtime, it's starting with an energize so that people are again engaged and into the session. We have collected remote warm-ups and energizers. We have like a small PDF with some examples. Here I added 3 examples of finding 10 things that you have in common, something similar to what we did with the location check-in, but instead of it, emojis. So basically sharing how you're feeling today, or posting just a simple like phrase like actions speak louder than words, and then people need to send a gift that fits that phrase. So these are just examples, and we collect them in a PDF, and we will share it with you after the workshop so that you have a bit of collection of inspiration when you need it. The other thing is the feedback. So it's very useful to use other participants and other teams to give feedback to each other. So even if you are in a remote sessions, make sure like you can use these feedback rounds, creating breakout rooms, and encourage participants to collaborate with each other between teams. So also very useful for remote workshops, especially normally here we did a lot of feedback with actual users or going to the street and asking people, and this is something that we cannot do right now. So other teams are very useful and are kind of like replacing that feedback rounds. And the other part is the decision making. So as a facilitator, you will need to take some decisions during the workshop or long workshops, like defining an issues, sometimes reducing a long list of a lot of options, deciding which criteria to use, or looking for other alternatives. So one of the kind of methods that we use for decision making is the dot voting, and this is basically by giving a color or a dot color to every participant of the session, and at the moments that you need to take decisions, people can just vote with that color, and it's a very fast and easy way to take decisions in a team. And finally, for today, we will talk about some examples, some use cases that we have here at SparkWorks. And it's very quickly, I would like to share with you 3 of the workshops that we did before. One long workshop of 3 days hackathon, one workshop of 1 day, and one workshop of half a day. So this one was the hackathon, so 3-day workshop with 50 people. For this, we use Veritly as a video conference tool, Miro, and Slack for communication outside. And here I just put some pictures of examples of activities and how people use these virtual whiteboards to work on their projects. So this is an example of defining the challenge, so working with a lot of Post-its. This is an example of problem statement, and I think here something very valuable is that you can create also templates just by putting a square on a white kind of template of Miro, and then just working with Post-its on it. So it's a very easy way to create a template. ideation, here basically what I want to show you is one of our physical templates that you can see in the left, that we just put it there as a picture, and then people can just put post-its on top of it or images and work on top of this picture. So it's also a very easy way to put a template in a virtual way. And finally, prototyping is always very interesting to see. It's also a challenge to build prototypes online, but there is a lot of different options. People sometimes draw at home and then take a picture and upload this picture, put in other pictures, like normal pictures online, maybe drawing, because Miro or these virtual whiteboards also allow you to just draw by hand. So just options of how other people build prototypes. Then we had one-day workshop. Here was with 35 participants. For this one, we use Zoom, Miro, and actual like physical prototyping material. So also some questions that you can see a bit of the outcomes of it. This is like the part of ideation, so brainstorming. Here we also use the dot voting system to then take decisions or select the ideas that were more relevant. The part of prototyping. So here I also find it super interesting. People were actually working at home with real materials like cardboard or magazines and pictures, and then just upload them. So it's kind of like a way to representing your idea with everything that you have available at home or digital. Wait. And the half-a-day workshop, it was with 40 people, and it was very focused on prototyping. For this, we use Zoom, Miro, and prototyping material. And here again, we use our physical templates. We just scan them and we put them there as a picture, so people were just working on top of them. And this also very interesting for the prototyping part. For example, this team was only using these shapes of Miro, so like squares, to represent they were doing a battery, to kind of represent the battery and communicate how the battery works. So there is ways, and it's basically about using our creativity to find the best way of representing our ideas and using the tools available, either at home, like cardboard or material, and then taking pictures, or digital. And that's it. That's basically what we would like to share with you. And now we will have some time for questions. I haven't checked the chat, but let's check the chat to see if we have questions from you. And also feel free to just jump in and join the discussion. No questions on the chat, but does someone has a question or would like to share something, an experience, something challenging, or yeah, something that you would like to know, or something that wasn't clear about the presentation?
I can go.
Sure.
Thanks for the presentation, and it's really opened up my my mind into a lot of strategies, and also I think it's a good thing that most of the things that we used to do offline we can now do online, and that's tools for this. But my biggest concern is engagement, especially when it comes. Oh, sorry, I'm George. I work for an incubator or innovation hub in Zambia. It's called Bongo Hive, and I'm the community manager there, or community liaison. But so my work really was, I used to do a lot of events and networking events. So this is having that time when people can actually meet before an actual event happens, and you have that interaction, you have those networking sessions before the event. And then now that conversation between the participants and the participants that engagement between the participant and the participants have stopped. There's not that engagement happening anymore, especially when it comes to getting things online. So you'd find that it's now just the facilitator, the speaker, and the participants, but not enough engagement between the participants and the participants. So I was actually looking at what are some of the tools that you can recommend to bring back those networking events that we used to have, where participants can still have conversations with each other and can still get to know exactly what they're working on, especially that when it comes to here. I know that there's different people, but in a physical event, I would get to know because of my interaction with them. So I was wondering what tools or maybe what sort of like things that you can spice up to have those participants to get to know each other and to engage each other. Just the way that we used to do it when we were doing the networking sessions and get into an actual program, which is more in the serious side.
Great, thanks. Yeah, I think it's a challenge. I mean, not only for you, it's a challenge for all of us to engage participants, especially because there is so many things happening right now online. There is every day, there is virtual sessions, there is workshops that you can join, and everything is happening online. So it's always very difficult to find the right way to engage with people. We recently have an event online about future thinking, and we use for the first time the platform called Beardly. So let me share my screen again. You can go to the presentation. Do you see my screen? Yeah. So this Beardly, we use it for the first time, and it actually worked pretty well. So the way that we engage with, we also wanted to do something that was more engaging with our audience. And we had 3 different speakers and around 40 people joining. And what we did was creating some polls. So the speakers were basically talking about future thinking, and then we additionally had some polls of questions for participants where they could kind of also express their own mindset around future thinking. And that worked pretty well. We also really like Beardly as a tool for communication, because it really has this kind of main stage. That is the part of the presentation. So all the speakers were in the main stage, and they are the ones that are talking, and you only see them. And then there is other different rooms. There is a coffee room. There is so people can basically just join afterwards or in between. You can create different rooms, and people can go and also talk and have a bit this part of yeah, kind of like. Yeah, or like this bar environment, thank you, Jessica, where you also kind of interact with people, not only in this kind of setup of Zoom, where you only see your faces, a lot of different faces joining, but more as an interaction show. So there you can kind of like approach someone, and you can start creating this kind of like group structure around, so people can join a group or another group. So we found it very useful, and it was fun to see how people kind of engage with the tool and with a new tool, because I think it was also new for everyone. But again, it was also new for us, but I can recommend that one in general for events, that maybe you can check it out.
I have an interesting tool / platform for engaging remote teams, and basically for building connections and kind of introducing people who maybe don't know each other. We're using it within the Yay community, and actually we're going to now pilot it with all of ITC, or for people who are interested in it. It's called Random Coffee. So I'll put the link in the chat box as well. Basically, you can set up various campaigns, and then you can invite people to take part, or people can sign up directly, and you can specify different categories for matching people together, or you can set it to be completely random, and you can set the frequency that people are matched, the group size. I mean, its initial purpose is to actually have, people within large organizations connect to foster better team spirit. But also we tested it with an online summit, and we actually used it for digital networking. And what the organizers did is they exported the matches and then mapped those onto Zoom breakout rooms. So actually we had the breakout rooms corresponding with groups of, I think it was 10 or 8 for online networking. And we had 2 different matches, and it worked out really well. So yeah, just some other ideas for people.
That's really cool. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, but yeah, for sure, I think it's a challenge in general. We also try to bring something physical to these sessions. So by sending people a postcard or for example, we here did an innovation map and we send it to people and we send them with a kind of note. So also breaking the digital routine that we are all in, we also, I think it kind of worked because people were happy to get something physical, to get like a different type of interaction. So maybe this is also an idea for all of you once you really want to engage people or invite them to an event, to do it in this kind of like physical way, to remind them that the physical world is still out there.
Right. Thank you so much.
Was that useful?
Very, very useful.
Cool. Is there any other question or also suggestion, or maybe another tool that you also use and you would like to share with us? Otherwise, I gave the word to Mayara, and thank you all for being here. I hope this was useful and that you at least found some inspiration and some tips and insights for your next sections. So yeah, good luck with facilitating future remote sessions and workshops, and yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you very much.
So just 2 quick ones from me. First of all, to thank you, Laura, and the SparkWorks team for facilitating this workshop. And as usual, when we come to the end of the workshop, we always like to share with you an evaluation form to know whether this was useful to you and where we can improve. So I'm going to be putting the link to this evaluation form in the chat box. We would appreciate if you could answer a few questions on that one. And last but not least, invite you again to join our community of practice in the LinkedIn. We have a LinkedIn group for hub managers where we post about upcoming workshops or other relevant information. So if you want to stay connected, feel free to join this group. This is likely the last session for this hub series this year, but we'll have more coming up soon. Well, next year. So please join the group so that we can keep in touch and you know about it when it's available. Thank you, everyone, and have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I don't know if they know them, but I almost put a woman on this thing I'm signing.
Hey, Patrick. We
Hey,
can
how are
still
you?
hello. We can still hear you in the Zoom.
Oh, okay. Let me. Yeah, I was talking
Which
to my.
is totally fine. Just so you know.
Okay, no, it's fine.
Yes. Have a very good day. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.